I came in here wanting to break hearts, wanting to tell you why Diego Lopez was gonna beat up Alexander Volkanovski. But the truth is, I don't think that's gonna happen anymore. I've talked about it mentally because I don't have any friends, but I thought about it so much going back and forth why Diego Lopez might have a chance. But really, I think I'm just being a contrarian. I think Diego Lopez is gonna lose again. It might be even more obvious this time. It might be less competitive. Look, if we saw Alexander Volkanovski in the first fight, he lost one round, and that's because he got knocked down, and maybe he lost the fifth round, even or the fourth round, I think it was. But even then, it wasn't like at any point did it look like Diego Lopez had the advantage and was winning that round fully. It was moments that he won that might have gave him the round, but it was never more anything else other than that. Right now, again, if we look at Alexander Volkanovski and we think about his performances against Max Holloway, right? The first one was competitive, the second one was competitive, and then the third one was domination. Absolute domination. And each one, he came out with a different game plan. Right? So if we say Alexander Volkanovski is going to come out looking the same and that Diego Lopez is going to learn from that fight and come out the same and more improved, well, guess what? Alexander Volkanovski is going to come out just slightly different, enough to change it up. And if not that, then he's such a smart fighter and has such crazy IQ. When we talked about the Islam Makhachev, right? That fight, he was talking about layers into this. Like, oh, he did that, and I performed this, and I did that, and then a counteractive. And he loved it. He loved that fight. That's why he took that fight at short notice, because he wanted to feel something. And he also loved that fight. That was a fun fight for him, right? So if we look at this fight, Alexander Volkanovski did not show that much of, I guess, a deep bag. He kind of just constantly did the same thing. Enter the pocket, 1-2, try to weave out feints at range. And it was very smart. He got one takedown early in the first round or somewhere in the first round. And there's a reason why we didn't see him get more takedowns. He didn't need them. But if this fight he thinks he needs them, he will take Diego Lopez down. And he's a good, what Bedtime MMA calls a hover maxer, right? Where he's not going to get submitted because he's so short. Alexander Volkanovski is so short where he could be standing up almost like a tripod and not really fear any, and like he could explode out of a submission real quick. And he's so good at doing that, right? Of course, he's been caught almost weirdly by not Diego Lopez, but by Brian Ortega with the guillotine and stuff like that. But little hamsters, little balls of muscle like Armin Sarukian, like Michael Chandler, like Alexander Volkanovski, they're the hard ones to submit, where somebody's arm and forearm are bigger than their own neck, right? So I can't see Diego Lopez, Volkanovski having fought with Islam Makhachev not get and get submitted by Diego Lopez. He's not gonna get submitted here. Can he get knocked out? Yes. He's a year older than his last performance. He's a year slower, and age is going to catch up somebody. But last week, we just got proved that age sometimes don't mean shit. Now, is Patty Pimlet equivalent to Diego Lopez? No, I think Diego Lopez is actually skilled. More skilled. He actually has power. He actually has jiu-jitsu, which he might take it to the ground this time. We don't know. And I do believe he's going to evolve and learn from that last fight. And this one, if you saw him crying like a little emo kid, you know emo kids are what's it called? Introspective, and they're gonna learn from that. They're gonna blame everything on themselves, not their coaches, not their IQ, not anything else, not the opponent just being great. They're gonna say it's my fault. I'm gonna get that emo hair going, and I need to evolve. Right? I used to be an emo kid, so I know this, right? But I don't think anything that changed. I don't think anything changes from the first fight. It's so hard to see, and I want to be a contrarian and say, because I love Diego Lopez. I like that I mean, the fight's not great, but it's a good rematch. I still think there's a good name to have in your resume. Diego Lopez, I would love to cheer for you. I would love to cheer for Diego Lopez, but I didn't see that much improvements against the Jean Silva fight. Even though he won, he was losing the second round, dominated the first round, 10-8 maybe, right? And then got a spinning elbow KO. How does he not look more improved? But he still kind of showed that if somebody is just better at range and is able to almost control him, he doesn't have much left. And that's what Gene Silva did. He was peppering at him with the shorter range and the shorter reach. He was able to hit those straights on Diego Lopez, while Diego Lopez was just throwing big, meaty hooks, right? And I just think Volkanovski is going to be able to perform the exact same way and beat Diego Lopez the exact same way. I hope Diego Lopez comes out there and surprises us. I don't know which one is more who would benefit the UFC more. Of course, I think the short the short thought of it is that Diego Lopez is going to be more beneficial to the UFC if he wins and becomes champ, because then he has other people to fight like Murphy, Evloev rematch, Gene Silva rematch, and so on, right? But Alexander Volkanovski has the chance to go up in weight and fight Armin Sarukian, or either get a rematch with Ilia Topuria, even though I don't think that's true, but he still has Gene Silva, he still has Murphy, he still has Evloev, he still has a bunch of names that have not been conquered by Alexander the Great yet. That would be a fun fight. A fun fight. And if he decides to stay, if he decides to retire, then I think it would be Diego Lopez the best option, right? But none of that matters. We're looking at two individuals, their skill sets, their probability of winning, right? And I cannot just lie to you and tell you that I believe in Diego Lopez to win this fight. I would love for him to win this fight. I'm cheering him on, but I think Alexander the Volkanovski, the great, even at 37 or 36, however old he is still just leagues ahead of anybody in that division. I think he absolutely dominates anybody else that's in front of him. For now, if he stays active this year, I could see him taking down both Murphy and Evloev, and then probably get killed by Gene Silva early 2027. I see that's how this Alexander Volkanovski's career goes if he decides to stay, right? So Alexander Volkanovski, I think he's gonna win this fight. I think it's gonna be a 5-round competitive fight, but I think Volkanovski's still gonna 5-1, 5-0 this guy. Sadly enough, he could get knocked out. Don't get me wrong, he could absolutely get knocked out. It's just so hard to say he will. It's just so hard to say he will. Next one, Dan Hooker versus Benoit Saint-Denis. I think people are underestimating Dan Hooker. He fought not that long ago, and he looked impressive. I expect him to lose faster, easier, and he did lose fast, but I think we're just watching the downfall of Dan Hooker and the rise of Benoit Saint-Denis once again, and I think we're overhyping Benoit Saint-Denis and underestimating Dan Hooker again. Dan Hooker is not great, but he's a warrior. Same thing with Benoit Saint-Denis, and I genuinely don't know who's going to win this fight. But if I had to give it to somebody, I think Dan Hooker has it. I genuinely do. Benoit Saint-Denis has been wrestling more, and he's been improving, especially with his new camp. I think he trains with all the Frenchies, right? With Nasruddin Memovov and Cyril Gane, and if not, whoever he moved camps with, it has just been training him perfectly to win these fights. What he did to Rufi is impressive, but that's still Rufi. He's still untested. He's not a Dan Hooker, and I feel like people are talking about it. He's fighting Rufi number 2 when it's not that. Dan Hooker has good guillotines, which I just hope he's not dumb enough to keep on putting them. We saw what happened with Dustin Poirier and Benoit Saint-Denis when Dustin kept on throwing those guillotines and it was being silly, right? But I think on the feet, Dan Hooker is just much better. He's gonna teep at the stomach, and if Benoit Saint-Denis wants to wrestle, he can. But I just don't think Dan Hooker is Dan Hooker. I think he's good at getting up. He's good at getting up. He's good at defending it for the short part, but I don't think Benoit Saint-Denis is that ball of muscle or that just extraordinary wrestler, grappler, top dominant force that Armin Sarukian is. I think we're overestimating Benoit and underestimating Dan Hooker. That being said, again, I don't really know if Dan Hooker could pull it off. Again, he just came off a fight, getting his nose broken, get his face mushed by Armin not that long ago. And Benoit Saint-Denis came off a fight not that long ago either, but it was a 16-second KO. Impressive, but he probably took way more damage in that in these 2 training camps than he did in that fight. And I think that's great because it gives more chance to improve, right? They're not that height difference. Their reach is decent, reach is the same. I think Dan Hooker could do it. If he could grapple off Gamrot, why couldn't he grapple off Benoit Saint-Denis, who's, I would say, sloppier than Gamrot, and I wouldn't say his submission threat's anything crazy. I think he has good ground and pound. What he did against Moicano is impressive. But again, that's a Moicano, right? That's not anybody who's really out there, really old and strong. I don't know how else to put it. Dan Hooker is a live dog here. Is he a dog? I don't know. I'm going with Dan Hooker. I think we're, again, overestimating and hyping up Benoit Saint-Denis for just beating up a debut prospect. Not prospect, just a debut bum in Canada, and then Benoit Saint-Denis, and then Benil Dariush, he's still good. I'm assuming he's been getting better in training, but so far I just can't put my trust in him over Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker at least looked not competitive, but at least was holding somewhat of his own and looked like he was getting some moments against Armin. And I don't think Benoit Saint-Denis has anything really different than what the people on top have. He's not better at grappling, submitting. He's not a better striker than anybody on top or the people that Dan Hooker has been fighting against. Dan Hooker isn't great at anything, but at least he's good enough to be up there, right? And Benoit Saint-Denis, I don't think that his trajectory, I think he's going to get stopped again. I have Dan Hooker winning. Rafael versus Rufi. Rafael is like Song Yadong, man. He's missing that X factor. He's really missing the X factor. He doesn't have great cardio. He doesn't have that KO ability. He doesn't have like a granite chin. And Rufi was really embarrassed by the guy on top of him against Benoit Saint Denis, man. And he's still fighting up. And if this is going to be a striking match, Rufi can't knock out Fiziev. You could either knock him out or just hit him hard enough where it goes into like a TKO sequence, right? Fiziev could do hard, like Fiziev. I think the only thing he has really against Rufi is that his body kicks and body work are just gonna tank the gas of Rufi, and Rufi does not have that much of a cardio advantage over someone like Fiziev. Even Fiziev doesn't have that great cardio, but I think if Fiziev hits a lot of those body kicks, a lot of punches to Rufi, Rufi is gonna be the first one to like kind of like diminish. Especially since Rufi doesn't like getting pressured, he doesn't like being in the pocket. He likes doing it his own way. And if Fiziev is able to bring that power and that speed and that pressure to Rufi, I could see Rufi crumbling again. But he has been training in Australia with the Aussies, with Alexander Volkanovski, with Israel Adesanya. Those are nothing but amazing people to have around you. Fiziev, I don't know. I honestly don't know who he's been training with. I think he trains with Gamera, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not really sure. The people around him are great, I'm sure, but Rufi has a lot to learn. He's still young, and I do give him the advantage there. And if it's just on the feet, I could see Rufi just knocking him out. Just doing that good old classic Fighting Nerds KO. I think I got to give him to Rufi. He's not going to get a head kick KO against Fiziev. Fiziev is just too good. Got the lean back, the Matrix lean back and shit like that. Fiziev could go for a takedown. Rufi. I think the safe option is Fiziev. I'm going to have to go Rufi, though. I think Rufi is just... I think everybody's too scared to choose him because he did get embarrassed by Benoit Saint Denis. Rufi was supposed to go out there and dominate that fight. He didn't. It should have, but he didn't. And that's, I think, that's the thing that plays a big role to why people are picking Fiziev. I got Rufi, man. I still think he's still good. He's green. He's not fully ripe yet, but I still think I still think they hand feet to feet action. He still might put pepper on Fiziev, right? Next fight. Tai Tuivasa versus Thaleson Teixeira. Bro. Okay. 6'2 versus 6'7. Damn, dude. Shit. All right, first of all, if Tai Tuivasa is able to make weight, does he have a good chance here? Yes, maybe. The Thaleson Teixeira does do him like he did to the other fat Australian, just push him against the fence and elbow his nose broken? Yes, maybe. I still think Thaleson Teixeira is alive. I think he's got this, man. I think he's got this. Tai Tuivasa, I was so disappointed. There was an AI photo of him going around where he looked fit and he has some fat man abs, and I was like, oh shit, holy shit, that's amazing, good shit for my boy. Tai Tuivasa is gonna get his next win, and then he still comes out looking like a blob out here, man. Looking Oral Ton, looking BB Australian out here, big beautiful Australian. And oh man, my hopes are down the gutter. I don't think Thaleson Teixeira is that great. He got knocked out by Derek Lewis, and we just saw what Waldo Cortez Costa did to Derek Lewis. This is frankly embarrassing. But Tai Tuivasa with a Taco Bell in his dressing room. Tai Tuivasa, who's been just pushing alcohol, has been living a different life than a fighter. And Thaleson Teixeira is still young, still learning, still improving. He has the reach advantage. He has the height advantage. He has the weight advantage. They're not going to take it to the ground. I don't see any, besides a quick KO, but Tai Tuivasa has just been in 5 fight losing streak. Any of those fights, he could have gotten a KO. He's just not. He's not there. His heart's not there. He might be here to prove something else. Really, I think just he's here to promote his beer one last time before he gets cut. I think Thaleson Teixeira just gets this done, man. I just don't see anything that Tai Tuivasa could really do besides get a knockout. And that's it. I think that's it. I got Thaleson Teixeira here. Quinton Salkio versus Jamie Mullarkey. Dude, Jamie Mullarkey has been knocked out by... Why is it not opening it up? Jamie Mullarkey has been knocked out by Alexander Volkanovski, man. I think Quinton Salkio is going to do dirty things for Jamie Mullarkey if he wants to. Jamie Mullarkey has been improving. He has gotten better, but that being said, Quinton Salkio is still a young man. He's brutal. He's nasty. He's scary. I got Quinton Salkio. Junior Tafa versus Billy Alakena. Billy Alakena has been disappointing me, but I'm still a big fan of him. Junior Tafa, I never was a fan of him. He never was my friend. He lost a bunch of weight. something I can't do, but he can for some reason. Look at that mustache is better than mine. I'm nothing but a D1 hater out here. I'm going with Billy Anakana. Cam Roston versus Cody Brundage. Cody Brundage has been looking not shit as much as I would think he would. I think he got like DQ or not DQ'd, but I think his last fight got overturned because I think it was a headbutt in round 2, and then they ended that round, started round 3, and then they counted round 3 as him losing, even though it really wasn't. And then I think it was in Georgia or something like that, Georgia, US, and I forgot where it was. Atlanta, I think that's why Atlanta. And in that commission, they were like, no, it has to be a finished round, not starting on round 3. So that fight got overturned because it was a headbutt that ended that fight. And he was fighting a prospect. He was fighting a good person. Someone who I'm like, damn, that dude is shit. I thought he was going to be better than that. But really, I think just Cody Brundage might be good enough to be Cam Roston, right? Cam Roston, shit, I'm not going to lie. I don't know enough about this dude. I do not know enough about this dude. Let me check him out. Cam Roston, who he's losing to and who he's beating. Petrosky. Petrosky is not. Oh, at least it was a KO. It was a KO. Now, Cody Brundage ain't going to get a KO. And can he get KO'd? Yes. Will he? Probably not. Damn, 6'3". I'm not going to lie. I don't know enough about Cam Roston. I know Cody Brundage is not good, but he's good enough to leave me like, okay, he might be good. He's still young. I forgot how old he is, but he's still a young dude, right? Hopefully, right? Hopefully, right? How old is he? It's not going to tell me yet. Split decision? And the decision unanimous. This is the one that got overturned, didn't it? Yeah, maybe I am a casual. I don't know enough. I'm gonna go with Cody Brundage. That's gonna bite my ass, but I'm going with Cody Brundage. Have fun. Jacob Malkoun versus Tori Finney. Tori Finney has been working out with DC, aka he's gonna just wrestle. He's just gonna be a bumfuck wrestler. Is he gonna throw more than 9 punches in a 3-round fight? I don't know, but I have no reason to say he's not gonna win. Jonathan McClellan versus Oban Elliott. Oban Elliott. Damn, they really didn't give the Australians like a layup, right? Maybe Cam Roston is gonna win. I gotta give it to one of these Australians. I'll say Cody Brundage is gonna lose. Jacob Malkoun is gonna lose. Oban Elliott is disappointing. Has been disappointing. His eyes are too close to each other. I don't like it. This dude looks blunted. He looks like a very white version of Snoop Dogg. So I'm going to give it a Snoop Dogg out here. Jonathan McKay. And then the rest of the people, I swear to God, I don't know any. Look how grayed out they are. I'm going to give it to this guy. He looks scary. Mongolian. Hold up. I can't be fucking. Hold up. I love my Mongolians, bro. Hold up. Who this dude? Mongolian? Oh, fuck, dude. They're short as shit, man. Contender series versus I don't know. I'm gonna give it to Aaron Tao. Aaron Tao. He's Australian. This probably layup. Although I love my Mongolians. I don't even know how to pronounce it. I ain't gonna try. Lawrence Liu, right? Damn, if I have a guess, 2020, China. I thought he's Australian. Maybe he's fighting out of Australia, right? Again, they have Cyril, China. Thank you, UFC. Not measuring these people yet, even though it's fight week. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna give it to the Australians. I mean, I kind of have to, right? These probably Kichi. This one I'm gonna give it to the who's this Japanese guy? Sebastian Zale. I'll give it to Sebastian. I'm going all Australians in the early prelims. I mean, why is there so much Asians? Oh, maybe because of the same time zone, right? Mongolia, China, Japan, South Korea, China. Damn, they got one of each. Holy shit. I love my Asians, but I'm assuming they're just here to get easy. Ken Offley, I heard he's good. I know he's good for sure. I'm just going to go. Damn. Short bitch. Short legs. Long torso. I'm going all Australians early prelims. I'm going Jonathan McClellan, Tori Finley, Cam Ralston, Billy Ellicannon, Colin Southkill, Taliesin Teixeira, Rufy, Hooker, Alexander. I would love to go with Diego, but I think it might be a Sugar Sean O'Malley situation where he gets pushed back to the title without really learning anything about fighting any other contender out there. I think that's just going to be it. I would love Diego Lopez to be champ. I like his little dimples, his haircut, crazy chin, but I don't see this being Alexander Volkanovski's last fight. I wish it would. I wish he would retire here. He might retire if he loses. Why would he continue going on? Just to suffer. But That's it. I think that's my choices. I think that's my due diligence for the gamblers out there, right? It is what it is, man. Like and subscribe if you made it this far. Please appreciate it. I'm a small channel. And if not, have a great day because